I have a lot of new makeup that I would like to play with you. A lot of it is going to be from Merit, but I also have an eyeshadow palette. I would say that the final result, the final look we're probably going to end up with today is going to be pretty fall, rusty, dying leaf kind of color thing. That's what we're going to get into. We're going to start with eyeshadow today because we're going to be using some sparkles. This is the Recently Deceased palette from bellabeautébar, and they sent this to me along with all of their new launches. I wasn't sure that I was going to like this. I know this is a pretty big fan favorite palette from the brand, but it's like when you look at it, let me show you the inside of it. It's not something that I would say it would be like something I would think of myself. However, I had played with it a couple of times and I have really liked my looks from it in a very unexpected way. But I think why I like this palette is because it made some choices. So I feel like there's a lot of tonal shifts in here. So when you look at this side of the palette, it's very warm. And then when you look at this side of the palette, there are some like cool blues in it. It's not really a fall palette. I'm not really sure what inspired this palette. It says de-influenced, which I think is a very modern term. I do think it's supposed to be like recently deceased. So maybe it is supposed to be like a Halloween palette. I have no idea when this launched. So maybe it was something that launched fall time. It definitely like looks like fall colors, but you know, we're at the end of summer and I do feel like those rusty tones are also really good for that. So I think I'm going to do something smoky. Normally I start with my blend out here. I think I'm going to start with the darker colors on the lid and work my way out and then do some toppers because there are some pretty toppers in this palette that I would have put on my eyes. My voice was fine all day and now I feel like it's dry and cracky, but I have used my voice today. Maybe I need to start doing vocal warm-ups for my videos. It's starting to feel that way. Maybe my momu, maybe my momu, maybe my momu. Although I don't talk up there. A while ago, maybe you saw this, people were giving Ariana Grande some flack because her speaking voice changed in the middle of a sentence. And then I heard from a lot of like vocal professional, wow, I'm so far gone. A lot of like voice professionals that like when you're like a professional singer, you kind of talk up here because it's like better for your vocal cords. And I heard that from multiple people. It wasn't just like one random person on TikTok. It was like a couple of people that's like common practice. My God, I'm so lonely. So I hope. It's the Disney version. So normally when I do an eyeshadow look, I like to set my base, but because we're using some dark colors and we're doing everything kind of in an inverted fashion for me, I'm just going to leave the tacky base there. And I think I'm going to start with the darkest shade in the palette. I think I'm also going to use my BK Beauty brushes. I typically prefer working with natural hair brushes when I'm working with eyeshadow because we're going to be doing some packing of color on. I think maybe just starting with something a little more dense might be better. So this is the shade Energy Vampire. It's the darkest shade. And I'm just going to pat it on the lid and work my way out. And it's a deep purple, I would say, but like a deep aubergine, I would say. Like a warmer purple. Me and Tiff went thrifting yesterday and I found an apple peeler corer slicer, and you might not be familiar with that because Tiff wasn't. It was actually very funny because this device was I'll put a picture of it on the screen. It was such a formative part of like my childhood for some reason. Like I saw it and I got so excited. It's the exact model my mom used. This Pampered Chef. And we weren't like big Pampered Chef people, but I think my mom had friends who did the Pampered Chef. So she definitely did a couple parties as I was growing up. My mom makes a mean apple pie. She makes a mean apple pie. Maybe we'll just talk about fall things in this video. We call it a mile high pie because my mom's apple pie is so tall. And I don't know, it's because when she fills it with the apples, she like makes it really tall, but then the apples cook down a lot. So then what happens is the crust is so tall and then there'll be like, I don't know, like a couple of inches between the top of the pie crust and then where the apples start. Maybe this would be like a red purple. You know what color it is? If you ever dyed your hair in the aughts, maybe hair color is better, but if you got like box dye for like maroon hair, it's like that color. It's the color that your whole body gets stained whenever you whenever you use that color. Hopefully someone knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's like such a specific thing. If you know, you know. It's very much if you know, you know. Taking a blending brush to just soften the edges. Maybe I won't put any other colors on because actually in true bellabeautébar fashion, this is blending out quite nicely, which is like kind of unexpected if I'm being honest, because it's just such a dark shade. But I feel like there's a lot of dimension from the center of my lid to the outer portion of my lid, and I did not add any other colors yet. What is that color? Because my girlfriend at the time, she dyed her hair this color with her friend. She was only allowed to dye her, you're gonna laugh because it is funny. She was only allowed to dye her hair natural colors, and for some reason, this was considered red enough to be a natural color. But I don't know that I know anyone who has like this color hair, like naturally. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't feel wrong. I'm gonna tell you a story that is gonna embarrass my mom. She doesn't really watch my channel, so it's actually like my favorite story to tell about my mom. It's very funny. It doesn't paint her in the kindest of lights, but it's so funny. I think it's also funnier to me because nothing what I'm about to tell you is my fault, which I will say I was the trouble child. Like I was the problem child. Like I wasn't like quote unquote getting into trouble, but like my grades weren't as good as my brother's growing up. My grades weren't even bad, by the way. I don't want you to like, I was, not that it matters. If someone in the house was getting in trouble, it was me. This is when I was old enough to have a job. So I must have been 17 or 18, but I was definitely still in high school. And my mom, I guess like turkey was on sale, and my mom bought like a whole turkey and like had planned to do Thanksgiving dinner, not at Thanksgiving. It might have been summertime. It was just like, you know, one of those things. It was just like a bunch of stuff coalesced together. I think I'm going to lean into the purple of it all. So I'm going to go into the shade Authenticity. I just kind of like work it right here. We'll see what happens. That might be a bad idea, but I think it's going to work. Just to add some more dimension to this shade. But it also looks like it could also be part of the shade, just a little bit lighter. I had to work. My family normally knew where I was. I was working late, like I was working till 11 or something. I wasn't gonna be home till like 11:30 or something like that. That I wasn't home until 10. It was known that I wouldn't be home for dinner because I was working, okay? I go to work. My mom also said she was gonna make apple pie. She used the apple core slicer. Maybe that was out before I left for work. So I was like, I'm so excited. I'm gonna go home from work and I'm gonna have some apple pie. I hope I haven't told this story on my channel before. I don't think I have. I've told it other places. I came home. A bunch of curious things had happened. Like a bunch of very curious things had happened. I walk in. There's no leftover turkey, no leftover stuffing, mashed potatoes, or any of that. But I really wasn't even trying to eat dinner or anything like that. I was like, oh, I want to have some pie. And so I like looking high and low, and normally we would keep our pie in the refrigerator. We like a chilled pie. That's what we liked. And we were weird because we like kind of like the soggy bottom. We wouldn't blind bake it or anything. So I'm looking for the pie, no pie. So I like get up, I wake up tomorrow, like the next day. And you know what? I think I just let it go because I'm taking some of a cream shade and kind of going around the edges. Not that the blend doesn't look good, but I hit pan. Oh, I hit pan. I just let it go. And I think I asked my brother what happened. And he was like, I don't know what happened to the pie. But he also left out some details I didn't find out till later. Here's what happened while I was at work. Again, I'm an innocent party. If a detective was trying to get involved, I was 100% innocent. I have an alibi. You can go check my punches at work. That's where I was. Everyone knew I was at work. And I think a lot of moms, I'm going to say moms specifically, or whoever is responsible for like cooking for the household, probably has this feeling a lot. So my mom labored over a Thanksgiving dinner, not on Thanksgiving. And like Thanksgiving dinners notoriously are like pretty labor intensive dinners. So my mom slaved over this all day. My dad went fishing and he wasn't home at dinner time. And if you are not, when I was growing up, if you were not home at 6, you were not eating dinner. It's okay if you planned other things or if you were like ready to cook for yourself. And like if you knew like if I was working, if my mom would still make enough for me so I could heat it up later. So it wasn't like, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like that, you know. I think a lot of the rest of the stuff I'm going to be using today is orange. So I'm going to go into the shade Feud and kind of like diffuse the edges. The rest of our face is not going to be as bold as the eye, but that's okay. I also think I'm going to take some micellar water to this inner corner and clean that up a bit. I don't want that much color there. And then my brother also didn't show up for dinner after we all knew that my mom was making Thanksgiving dinner. My mom and dad had a waterbed. So I was growing up, my mom loved her waterbed. I would say she had a waterbed like up until right before COVID. I would say like she had a waterbed for a really long time. She loved her waterbed. I don't think my dad loved the waterbed as much, but my mom loved the waterbed, so they had a waterbed. If you're not familiar with waterbeds, the headboard of a waterbed is like obviously like behind where your head would be, but normally they're like deep and have cabinets in them. And so a lot of times like it creates like a hole, for lack of a better term. So like that doesn't go all the way to the floor. And so what will happen will be like between the wall and where your head would be if you were laying in the waterbed, underneath where the cabinet parts are, there's like just a hole. So what my mom did is after no one showed up for dinner, she said, no one's getting dinner, no one's getting dessert. She hid the apple pie in that little crevice covered in saran wrap and everything, and then just took it to her job the next day because none of us were going to have apple pie. I did say to my mom later, once the whole story was revealed, I was like, but everyone knew I was going to be at work. And she was like, this wasn't on you, Tom. This one wasn't on you, Tom. But no one was allowed to have apple pie except for me. And I was like, I understand, but I just was really sad about not getting the apple pie. What's one of my favorite stories about my mom? I know it doesn't really like paint her in the best light, but that's not really the point of the story. The point of the story is just like, it's so funny. I'm just taking a paper towel and some micellar water. I'm just cleaning up that. I'll reblend with a clean brush. But like, I just like didn't want all of that in the inner corner. I might actually take some of that cream again and like kind of blend that into that. Actually, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. That's something that reminds me of apple pie, and so this is the apple peeler core story still. And Tiff picked it up and said, this is from the Pampered Chef. And I was like, oh my God, I was so excited. And Tiff was like, do you know what this is? And like, I was like, yes, do you? And they're like, no, what the hell is it? Because it is a weird looking device. I don't know if it needs to stay crisp, but we'll see. We'll do a crisp line. Do I want to do liner? I don't know that that's true. I don't know that I want to do that. I did do a worse job on this side. Laughing really hard that like, they just didn't know. They didn't know what it was. And I was like, I'm going to buy it. It was $3.29. Here's the pan. So this is a long-term goal on my channel, but I'm not doing project panning videos specifically. But I did say I wanted to pan one of these cream shadows. These are what I use to normally set my eyeshadow base. I'm very pleased about that. Very chuffed. Look at that. It's actually a pretty big pan. Love to see it. Okay, now we need to pick a shimmer. I guess I'll swatch some of these. I do really like the shade Backlash. I've been loving like mint shimmers recently. I haven't been really wearing them, but I've been loving them. So there we have. I mean, I think it would be really fun to throw the middle one on, to be quite honest with you. But I think with the rest of the colors I'm putting on, this would make the most sense. But honestly, I'm not really wearing this makeup anywhere. So maybe we should try doing the purple. The purple as a topper. Venus as a boy, purple as a topper, purple as a top. So this is the shade Digital Zombie. And I'm taking a silicone applicator. Just gonna sweep it on the lid. Oh, wow, that's cool. Actually, hey, friends who get PR. Friends who get PR or have bought this and also bought the new Cleona palette. Can you, like, Nooper, I think you have both of them. Nooper, can you swatch Digital Zombie next to that blue shade that I'm really excited about in that Ocean palette? Because it looks pretty similar. I don't think it's as chunky as the shimmer from that Cleona palette. But if you know what I'm talking about and you have both of them, DM me. Creative friend. Creative friends, DM me. Or non-creative friends, also DM me if you have both of them. I would love to see you swatch next to each other. That's actually really gorge. It's really gorgeous, and it didn't take away too much from the warmth, which I'm into. Now that we're doing such a bold eye, I feel like I now even want to do more of a bold eye. Whenever I figure out what that means, you also will learn what I mean by that, because I'm not quite sure. I still feel like it's a little dull. There's a dark multichrome in here. Maybe it's a holochrome. Oh no, it's a multichrome. That? Wait, hold on, that's sick. Oh wait, I don't think I've swatched that one with my fingers yet. Oh, look at that. Oh, I guess you can't, can you tell? There's like, it's, whoa. Oh, I love that. Because there's no base to it. There's no black base to it. It's kind of, you know what it kind of reminds me of? It doesn't look like it in the pan. It kind of reminds me of Opulent, but like the blue pink version of that. Because it looks kind of taupe on camera, at least what I can see in the monitor. But it's reading mostly green to me from where I'm sitting. Okay, I don't think I'm going to use that today, but my goodness. This palette has been a gift that's kept on giving. Like, I've really just enjoyed every look with it. I think it's still kind of... I did a smoky eye and I'm like, it's feeling kind of dark. It's feeling kind of dark. But I purposefully made it dark and now I'm like, but why is it dark? We'll do Viral in the inner corner. It's like it was like the orange shimmery topper. We'll do that in the inner corner. Let's see if that like brings me to a place of satisfaction. Not really. Maybe we'll do this. So there's a shade called Bold Glamour, which is like it's blue purple. I love when I use a palette, and I do mean this. I love when I use a palette and I'm like, what is that shade? And then I give myself like 20 guesses and I'm still not right. I'm gonna just put that in the center of the lid. It's a little bit brighter than I was expecting it to be, but like, I think that solved the problem. Not that there really was a problem. That took me to a place of satisfaction. I really like that color. I didn't really focus it as much on the center of that eye. I don't know. And I know like I could easily just like swatch the shades before I put them on my lid, but we're just playing with makeup today. And I don't think the rest of the makeup is going to take a very long time, if I'm being quite honest with you. So yeah, that's where the eye is. That brightened it up in the center, more like right where I needed it to be. Not that there was anything wrong with the way it looked. I just was like, I wanted something. But let me swatch Bold Glamour. The vibe I'm getting is that a lot of the shades in here are just sheer. Since I'm gonna have to wash my hands anyway. No, Collab is definitely a black-based multi-chrome. And then we have two orangey shimmers, and those are also a little more intense. Oh man, but what fun. I'm gonna put Cinnamon in the waterline. Cinnamon from Victoria Beckham. It's not as dark as I feel like the eye look is, but I feel like it has a lot of the elements in this eye look. I'm just gonna put it in the waterline. Let's move on to some Merit stuff. This is just an effort to be as open with you as I can be. I will be doing a partnership with Merit coming in September. This video is not a sponsorship. However, I do need to get acquainted with some products from them because I haven't tried everything from the range. I tried quite a bit from the range before. I have gotten PR from them before, but this is the first sponsor. It's actually going to be the first sponsorship on my channel, which is really, really exciting. So I just want to be clear, that's where all of this product came from, because it's like, how do I explain how I got all the Merit product to you, and just for transparency's sake. So I got to pick out some stuff. The ones that are my favorite will make it into the sponsorship, and I'm not saying that all of them might not be favorites, but you know what I mean. This is their new product. This launches on the 22nd. This is their new Merit Great Skin Priming Moisturizer. So it's a primer more than it is a moisturizer. I think that this is supposed to be the like oily skin substitute for the Great Skin Serum, or you could use both if you wanted to. The instructions say use after cleansing and applying the Great Skin Serum. So if you use that, this is what they suggest to use after it. Follow immediately with your next step, SPF or makeup before moisturizer dries down. So it's like apply and then use as your primer. The Merit Great Skin Serum, if I recall correctly, because I've had it before, I believe it comes in a glass bottle. This is plastic, which is a bummer. I feel like Merit, some of its design work isn't very much designed for people who are on the go. A lot of their packaging is pretty light. Some people will really like that. Some people will really hate that. I like glass as a container. So it feels kind of light, but I don't think that there's less product in it. It says we get, it's an airless pump. Perhaps that's why it's plastic. 1.7 fluid ounces. So a lot of primers, you normally get 1 ounce, I think. Moisturizers, though, you normally get 1.7 ounces. So it being that in between makes sense. I'll show you the consistency. I'll show you on this hand because I didn't swatch any sparkles, but there's still sparkles. It is like I would say like a mid thickness moisturizer texture. And I don't think it's scented. It smells a little bit medicinal, and it does melt into the skin really quickly. I did say in a couple videos ago that this just randomly showed up in my house, right? And it showed up before I received anything about it in my email. So like I didn't know what it was supposed to do or how it was supposed to behave. But I put it on the back of my hand because it was a priming moisturizer. And I actually was just kind of expecting just moisture, I guess, was what I was really expecting. What I've come to find is that it's actually very blurring. Like it's blurring, but it doesn't have the feel of like a thick silicone primer. I feel like it feels like a little bit silicone-y, but it almost has a powdery finish, which is why I feel like this was designed for people who have oily skin, because I feel like some of Merit's options are very wet, and people with oily skin might not like that, especially when it comes to their options for the face. The stick foundation feels a little more polarizing on who might like that, but it does kind of also leave a little bit of a sheen which if I had to bet money was maybe a little bit of mica, but it's not chunky. It's very consistent. I'll have to check the ingredients list. I still have the box. Let me go check if there's mica in it, actually. So the Great Skin Complex with peptides, spermidine, and barrier polysaccharides to help support the appearance of skin elasticity, firmness, and tone. Oat extract and glycerin help soothe and moisture the skin. Hyaluronic acid, biomimetic emulsifier for a blurred cashmere-like finish. And it does have that, and it's pH balanced. And I almost said, who cares? You should care about the balance of your pH. But I will say a lot of products that are on the market now are balanced. And if you are using something that's going to throw off your pH, typically it tells you to follow it up with some kind of toner. I don't know. I just feel like it's a weird selling point. There is no mica in it. Okay, so I'm not really sure what gives it that slight glow. I'm going to zoom you in while I apply this so that we can take a good look at it together. And I'm going to just apply half a pump to half of my face. It did not come with the rest of the products. It just like showed up, which caused a lot of confusion for me because I was like, am I supposed to wait to talk about? I was so confused. It's not, I don't feel like it's not matte and flat looking, but it does have a little bit of like a powdery after feel. I think some of you might be turned off by the scent of this, if I'm being honest with you. It doesn't really smell like anything. It's not even strong. It's just not, it's not fragrance, and it's not like not there. But I think it really blurs my skin. I feel like it's like, kind of looks like I put a filter on. That's a thing that I really like. Unlike the Danessa Myricks product that I recently used, this is really thin, and I just feel like, I don't know. I've put makeup on this a couple of times. I know that makeup wears really beautifully on it. I am concerned about the foundation stick on top of this though, because I have used that before and I actually really like it, but like under specific circumstances. So I'm gonna take another half pump and put it on the rest of my face. The foundation stick, I really liked wearing it with the Great Skin Serum because I feel like it gave it a lot of slip. And I feel like a lot of people, and not everyone has to like a product, but I feel like a lot of people's experience with the Great Skin Stick is that it's dry looking. And I feel like using their serum underneath it is very helpful for that. But yeah, that's how the skin's looking. I think even just wearing it as a moisturizer, it's obviously not like covering redness. There's no like color correction, but I just feel like my pores look really good. Based on the way this behaves, if I would have heard what I said, I don't think it would be something that I'd be like keen on trying, I guess. It's not something I would feel like compelled because it's funny that I just used that Danessa Myricks product and now we're using this. And I feel like they're the same, but not like what, like they give off, they want to do the same thing, but I feel like this is doing it better for my skin. I don't know. I'm like into that. Just giving it a second to like set in a little bit. Okay. But yeah, it's not like my usual thing. Victoria Beckham. I have so many primers. Anyway, I don't know. Whenever I got this, I was like, I really hope I don't love that because I have a lot of primers. I'm a primer girly. I really am. It's who I am. Okay, I'm gonna zoom you back out a little bit so my full face is in frame. We're gonna move on to something that I'm very familiar with. I've actually panned an entire one of these before. And then I had a second one, but I gave it to Tiff. See if I still like it. So this is the Merit Perfecting Complexion Stick, and I have the shade Silk. If I remember correctly, let's hope I do, fingers crossed. I liked applying this from the product to a brush and then pressing it into the skin because I feel like going in directly was always a little bit more difficult to make it look the way I wanted to, or it was just more coverage than I really wanted. And I do feel like that this foundation is a little more on the matte side. This one I think is just one of those foundations that like prep is really going to make or break your experience with it. I'm just putting on half my face to like remind myself. One, an incredible color match. I forgot how good of a color match this was. I just bought the same shade I bought. I like didn't even think about trying another one. But whenever you apply it with like the brush from the brush to your face, I feel like you get a very soft focus, light coverage, but like you can definitely see that my redness was evened out. And what is nice about it is like if I want to completely cover the redness, I can just use it like a concealer. But the only downside to this, if I recall correctly, and I will double check, I didn't really love it directly under the eye, especially if I was swiping it. Taking some on the finger if I need additional coverage under the eye and patting it into the skin really gave me the best effect. I can see why I enjoyed this product and was able to finish it up. I think this happens with any product that I'm getting close to the end of. I probably, if you went back and watched as I was trying to finish up this product the first time I had it, I was probably complaining about it. And that's probably more so just because anytime I'm getting close to the end of a product, like now that eyeshadow's panned, it's now going to be my life's work to completely pan it. Once you like have your mind set on like completely panning something, it just changes your relationship with it. I feel like also the primer underneath this looks really good. I feel like I'm getting a lot more glow from this foundation than I remember. Not that I remember it feeling matte. Well, it's not even a foundation. It's a complexion stick, right? That's how they sell it. It's like, when it's not quite this and it's not quite that. I want to emphasize again, if I happen to like all this stuff, this is not the ad. This is not the ad. You will see all of the appropriate ad stuff. I just wanted to try it out together with you. My skin looks incredible. I was unsure how I would feel about revisiting a foundation that I had completely panned. Not that I don't trust what I said a couple years ago, but also my taste. Your taste, wow. Wow. We did not talk about the Hannah Louise posted video, did we? And I don't even really know that I can like form thoughts on it, but I had a lot of feelings when Hannah did that video where she did her makeup like she did when she initially started her channel, when she was wearing the really grungy colors all over her eyes, and like redid that recently. I got like a little bit of emotional about it. Like I see it from both sides, right? Like our favorite person who did our makeup very similarly to the way we did our makeup, like moved on and is doing different things. But also I see it from like, Hannah's side of things. And I will try to remember to link the videos that I'm talking about, because she did a follow-up video the next day. And there was a lot of feelings. It was really like, it was a lot. My taste is going to change, right? And sometimes you revisit things and they don't work for you the same that they used to, whether they were reformulated or it's just been 3 years since you've used something. I don't think it's been that long. I think it's been about a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years since I had the complexion stick. Sometimes it feels really hard to like navigate, because like, what if I did use this and I hated it? And then everyone's gonna be like, well, you liked it years ago. But it's like, I think we all just need to remember that like our minds are allowed to change about things. Us as content creators, your mind is allowed to change about things. In fact, I think our world is at its best when we all keep our minds open to new ideas and thoughts. And, I think that that's just how we live in a better world, is that we were all keeping our minds open to new experiences and new thoughts, and allowing our thoughts on things to change. Because there are many things in my life that I feel differently about now than I did 10 years ago, a couple of years ago even. I don't know what her comments are like. Don't like reading other people's comment section, especially if they're a much larger creator than me, because people really want to be heard. Let's move on. Let's move on. I think those are really worth watching. I think watching them and approaching them with the idea that you're going to self-reflect on them after is a really good activity. So I've not tried this product. This is the bronzer stick, which I'm actually excited about. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to like this, but I got it just in case I might. I know that Kelly Gooch is a big fan. I think the thing that I'm concerned about is the color. This is the lightest shade. It's the shade Quince. I wish there was like a clicking mechanism to the container. I know that Kelly prefers to apply this from a brush, just like we did with the foundation. Let's try it both ways, because we're just kind of experimenting. Okay. Wow, that looks really nice, but I think there might be some of the product that I was using it last with still on there. Okay. It's not looking orange, but I'm gonna also do it up here with a clean brush. The formula is melty enough that I feel like it's applying without disturbing the foundation. Okay, this is interesting, because this color, if you would have just shown me this color and be like, that's a bronzer, would you like it? I'd be like, no, I wouldn't. I think because it's so fair and it has the orange to it, I do feel like it's actually adding like a pretty realistic bronze to my skin. It's weird because it looks really yellow, and that's not normally how I like my bronzer to look, but I don't hate that. Obviously, I wouldn't contour with this. It's not cool toned enough for that. So I did debate getting the medium shade, or like the next darker shade, because it looked like it was a little more neutral. But I think you might have to play the game here with this product. Very natural bronze, but not so natural because I definitely tried that Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt thing. And it was like, it didn't do anything. I definitely feel like when you see my face head on, something happened to this side and nothing has happened to this side. And I feel like when I did the Makeup by Mario product, when I tried that, it did not do that. Okay, let me try it applying it from the stick to the brush. I'm like pretty astonished that I don't hate that. Because I was like pretty much fully expecting, I was expecting to hate that. Interesting. When I was picking out product from Merit, this was the one that I was a little bit of a gamble. I was like, well, let's see. That's such an interesting thing. That's such an interesting. I'm going to grab some of my other bronzers and swatch it next to it just so we can like take a look together so you can get a better idea of like why I think this is like pretty confusing. Especially if you're new here, you're probably like, what are they talking about? What do you mean? It just doesn't look like a bronzer to me. Like that color is like, it's like almost the same color as the gold packaging. So here are all of my bronzers. This is the Merit bronzer. This is the Surratt bronzer in Soleil Dew. This is the Gucci bronzer in One Fair. And then this is the Chanel bronzer in Soleil Tan Deep. I thought that this would be like too yellow, but like when you look at the bronzer from Surratt, it almost looks green and it has some of that yellowness to it. And then the Gucci bronzer is like that kind of rosy bronzer. So it's like, it's not really even that close. In the Chanel bronzer, you can see some of that. This is definitely darker, definitely more brown, but like you can see that like at its very edges, it has some of that like yellowness to it. Very interesting. I think it gave me a very realistic bronze, but like an incredibly subtle one, but not so subtle that I feel like nothing happened, which is also a problem for me. Now we're moving on to a product I've had other shades of, but I've not had this shade. This is the Flush Balm in the shade Fox. They have a lot of beautiful shades, and as we know, I like cool tones. Well, right now, I don't actually have that many warm toned blushes. I don't know what they describe it as. What they describe it as is like some sort of beige, and I guess it kind of is. But there's definitely like a lot of red, orange in there, I feel. I feel like it goes pretty well with what we have going on up there. So I think it will work. Again, we'll do the same thing where like we'll apply it directly to the cheek. And what I remember about this product is that it's very user-friendly. People who are new to makeup would have a very easy time with this product. Again, this side of my face will be applied from the brush. This side of my face is applied from the stick, but I honestly don't feel like I'm getting a huge variance in application. That's really pretty. It's actually reading a lot like some of my other faves. It's like, it's kind of giving the essence of like Mimi or Inner Glow. I would say not as special as either one of those shades. In fact, now that I'm trying this shade, I think that this is Hannah's favorite shade of this blush. Here's Fox. This is Mimi from Westman Atelier. This is Inner Glow from Kira Weiss. And then this is Exothermic from Phytosurgeons. It definitely is like the most orangey of them. It lives in that same vein, and I feel like the Merit blushes are kind of like a translucent kind of gel formula feeling to me. Still just as easy to use as I remember. Like that's really easy to blend out. If you're scared of cream blushes, I think that these are a really good place to start. Not the most adventurous formula, but like I think a good starting point. I think I had the shade Beverly Hills whenever I first tried it. I don't remember really like loving that color. I feel like the same way that I did about that a couple years ago. This is a new product to me. This is the Day Glow Highlighting Balm. I'm very into a highlighting balm these days. This is the shade Kava. Now that I'm looking at it, it might not be warm enough to wear with everything else that I have, but we'll still try it. And it is a balm, so it in theory should sheer out, but it definitely is kind of leaving more of like a, well, actually it just looks like dew, which I don't think will read all of that poorly. I'm gonna apply it with the stick first. Looks like it picked up a little bit of the blush, but not a ton. I'll blend it with my finger. Oh, I should have done the other side with a brush. Let's see if that will even, oh, I have a brush in my hand. This would probably be the way I would do it, what we're doing over here. applying it with a brush. I also find that whenever I'm working with melty, balmy kind of products, I feel like when we do like a concentration like of a swipe or like even on our fingers, on my fingers, I don't know why I'm saying like, I don't know why I'm including you in this application process. I feel like whenever I use my fingers or swipe straight onto my face, there's just like a higher concentration of the product. But whenever you take a brush and you really kind of like push it into your skin with the brush, damn, that's really pretty. I don't think this is going to be for everyone. It's like a balm. On my back of my hand, it's kind of still like a little bit tacky, but it's like set for the most part. If I put this on my bare skin and then put this on top of it, like on the cheeks, that'd probably be like the best way to wear it. So when I'm thinking of like other balms to compare this to, I don't really have that many. This is like not a product that I like have a ton of. I have the Balm Essentiel from Chanel. And I think that this product feels there's a little more, I don't know how, there's a little more not grit. It feels like it's not going to move around on the skin. It takes a little more friction for it to melt. I just think that the Chanel one will probably have better longevity than this one. I've not worn this one like out and about for any length of time, but I like the way my cheeks looking. Gorgeous. I am going to powder my face just because I'm oily. So I'm just going to use the Hourglass powder and the Charlotte Tilbury under my eyes, but I'm not going to use my Blur powder. There's still sparkles all over my face. That's where we're at with the skin. Okay, I have 2 lip products. I really wanted the signature lip and baby, so I just asked for it. The baby's really pretty. Gorgeous, stunning, brilliant, amazing, gorgeous. And I also got one of the matte lips because I was curious about it, because I feel like I very late, way after everyone else, finally get to try this formula versus the Westman Atelier. And this is in the shade Antibes. Whenever it came to the matte formula, there wasn't really like, oh, you know what what does that look like to you? It looks a lot like the Givenchy lipstick I have, which is limited edition, but like, I think you can still buy it on their website. No, it's much more, this is the Givenchy. It's much more like pumpkin-y. And this is much more like, I don't know, it's like a very grungy, peachy shade. Interesting. So I'm not gonna put baby on because I just don't think it's gonna go. I'm gonna put Antibes. I think that's how you say it. I'm checking to see if this like highlighter, this balm is like setting. I don't think it's setting, but it's not incredibly tacky. But I think if hair fell from my face into it, it would get stuck in it. But it's not like crazy tacky or anything like that. That's a gorgeous lip color. I wasn't sure if I would even like this one. It was really hard for me. Well, I didn't have to pick one of these, but I wanted to pick one of them. It's like a sheer matte formula. It's really light on the lips. I feel like it's a little bit lighter than the Westman Atelier one, but definitely has the feeling of a matte lipstick. It's not like, just a modern soft matte lipstick. It has just what it feels like. It almost has like a blotted effect to it. I feel like. Interesting. You know, if they don't have one already, I don't think I said this out loud, but I had the thought while I was powdering my face. If Merit doesn't already have a facial spray, I think that's something that they should invest in. I have mascara. I've never tried the Merit mascara. It's the Clean Lash mascara. I don't even know what this looks like. I don't remember people talking about this. Looks pretty standard fare here. Honestly, I hope I like this because I'm kind of sick of the other mascaras I have open right now. Is this a tubing mascara? I guess I'll find out tonight. That's a cute mascara. I'm like, at the end of the video, I'm like, I've been filming for a long time. I had to talk through a lot of stuff today. Sometimes whenever you do these try-on videos, you're like, talk. And it's so funny because the way this started, I barely had a voice. This has an interesting smell to it. Not like, it doesn't smell off, but it smells like fresh. Like, I don't know. I feel like mascaras often just smell like tar. Doesn't smell like tar. I would say this is very much giving me length, not so much drama, but I don't dislike it. I think it went on really easy, and Honestly, I feel like the mascaras I've been using recently have been messy. Like the messy mascaras, like what is that? The one from Bella Beautébar. I keep getting it on my eyelid, and like I didn't get this one on my eyelid at all, so that might be a brush thing. But I've also been using the one from CoverGirl, and that one also has been getting kind of everywhere whenever I apply it. But that did not get anywhere, and it did not bump my lid. Anyway, so maybe it's not been user error with those mascaras. Maybe they're just gloopier. And okay, let's do a quick recap. Oh my god, I have so much, because I was like swatching things that I thought might be close. There's stuff everywhere. If you like the eyeshadow situation that's going on, I mean, Bella Beautébar really just does that. They just really do it for me. Bella, like, I don't know. Like, it's like, I just feel like whenever I was really buying a lot of indie shadows, not that I don't think I really bought a lot of indie eyeshadow palettes, but like, their palettes always just make sense to me. She's really good at color stories. Like, even like, this is like, I think a little bit of a challenging color story. But like, even then, I feel like I had a really easy time putting this all together. Like, it all made sense. I love that blue. Anyway, again, if anyone has this and the Ocean palette from, I don't know, it's Oceana palette from Cleona, that blue shade in there, that blue sparkle shade, swatch them next to each other for me, because I want that shade, but I don't want anything. I don't want the rest of the Cleona palette. I don't know if they're ever going to sell them as singles. Okay, let's quickly run through the Merit stuff. Still love the foundation. This, I don't know. I would say of the things I had not tried from Merit that I was trying for the first time today, this is a favorite. The packaging isn't great. I would say that that's something that they should consider. I think people like that it's light. It like looks like it's gonna be like luxurious and heavy. It's not. And I don't even know that I really have an issue with it not being heavy. Like, this is really easy to twist. And like, I don't know. It just feels like it's a mess waiting to happen. But, and I will say this, oftentimes whenever I am trying products and I did not contour today, if you don't notice, a lot of times when I don't contour, I normally don't like the way my face looks. I've been working out more, so I'm not sure if my face is changing, because I have gone without contour a couple times and been like, my face looks snatched still. But I like the way my face looks. So that might be the bronzer, that might just be my face. The shade Fox, I like it. It's easy breezy. It's like super simple. I still think that this like, I feel like I like a blush with a little more oomph, but I see you. And then the balm, I would say other things I tried today, this is like the least interesting. I also think that knowing people's preferences when it comes to highlighters and comes to cream highlighters, I don't think a lot of you would like this unless you like have short hair or you're okay with something that has a little bit of tack left over. But I do think it's really pretty. It's like very sheer. I like that about it. Well, it's a balm. A lot of times this kind of shine with a balm, it's like, it still feels like it's really thick and not really set, but it's not really doing that. The mascara is also kind of whatever, but it's better than the mascaras I've been trying, so it feels like an upgrade to me. It's also in square packaging, which is interesting because, well, I guess these are also in square packaging. I didn't mean to talk about this. In case you don't watch anyone else and you don't know this already, I watch other people, but I don't think anyone's talked about this. The packaging is different between these two. This is the original signature lip, and then this is the new matte lips. I love this acrylic color. This smoke color is really gorgeous. This lip color is really gorgeous. It is really stunning. I really like it. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, but really pretty. It feels like a matte lip though. I do think their signature lips are where it's at. Anyway, that's going to wrap up the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to my channel and you don't know what's happening here, so this is a video where I'm like just exploring new makeup, but in a lot of my content, I'm exploring and reusing the makeup that I already have. I try to help myself and help you build the habit of being more discerning about the makeup that you are buying, because we don't need all the new makeup. Sometimes we have makeup in our collection that can do the same thing or something really close. And I try to encourage that before making a purchase. So if that sounds good to you, I would love to have you subscribe, but make sure you like this video and leave a comment down below. I'm on Patreon and I have channel memberships. I do some additional content over there if you want to check that out, but it's just a different way to support me, not necessarily a better way to support me. Being here, commenting, liking, and sharing my content is the best way to support me or any other channel that you follow. I also have linked in the pinned comment a link to help a family in Gaza. If you have some extra funds to do that, I would really appreciate you doing that for them. And then that's it. That's the end of the video. Remember to follow your haute and you'll find me. And I'll see you in a video very soon. Go forth. Tits out.